Hello traders, it's Julian from Trader Medic, and today's video I want to start introducing my strategy that I've been using for the last 3 years, basically scalping options. But before I do that, I just want to kind of go into a little bit of background, how I got into active trading, why I think it's a little bit better than passive investing. So I just want to kind of give a little bit of context to how I got into trading. So I was originally born in Vancouver, BC. And I was lucky enough to get sent off to England to go to boarding school, which is a bit different. I was just 8 years old, but I did have family in the UK, and I had a great experience for 10 years of education in the UK. But one of the things I noticed is that my financial education was pretty much zero. Once you're out of boarding school, everything's kind of provided for you, so you don't really use currency, you don't really use money, because you're on campus all the time. So anyway, after 10 years in the UK, kind of flying back between Vancouver and London, I ended up going to UBC in Vancouver, the University of British Columbia. I missed Vancouver a lot, and I was happy to kind of go back and live there full time. So I took a history degree at UBC, but again, zero financial education. That obviously wasn't a focus at the time. So for whatever reason, though, I ended up getting a bank teller job soon after graduating, and that's kind of where I first started getting a financial education. So I worked at HSBC, one of the branches in Vancouver, as a bank teller, and I learned about how the branch had an investment advisor, but that's about it. I started learning a little bit about stocks and whatnot. But what really moved the needle for me was I ended up getting an interview at a brokerage called Nesbitt Burns in downtown Vancouver. And the position I was applying for was a sales job. So literally they gave me the white pages and said, open it up on a page and start calling people. And my goal was to basically bring people into the office so that the senior stockbroker could kind of take over and sell them on his services. So I'm more of an introvert, so that wasn't really a job that I was cut out for. But what I did notice is I really fell in love with the markets at that point. This Nesbitt Burns office was in downtown Vancouver on the 18th floor, beautiful marble walls, marble floors, tons of cool people working there. So that's when I kind of fell in love with the markets for the first time. Again, though, a lot of online brokerages were launching at the time. So this was basically in the late 90s. And so I ended up taking a career, before I started a computer career, I ended up going to UVic and University of Victoria and taking a graduate certificate in information technology management. So again, I left Nesbitt Burns because I wasn't really cut out for that particular role, which was telephone sales. But at the time, I also took the Canadian Securities course, which I was happy to get honors in. So again, I really started falling in love with the markets. But my life kind of took a turn. I ended up going to Victoria, taking a computer certificate. And, 4 days after that, I was working as a programmer for a startup, a software startup. And then I basically continued that career in computers for basically 20 years. And then did a lot of passive investing. So I had my long-term account with TD, and I would just basically come across some money, and I would save up some money, and I would put it into some stocks that I was interested in, and a buy and hold kind of approach. And it wasn't really working for me in the sense that I hadn't really learned to read the charts too much. It never occurred to me to kind of buy the dips on these companies. I would just buy them when I had money saved aside. So that kind of stuck with me, that it wasn't really playing out how I wanted. So anyway, fast forward a little bit, basically, about 4 years ago, I got a bit more freedom. I started a number of companies, a software company in those 20 years of computers. I also, started a couple e-commerce sites, and also a co-working space as well. So I came across a bit of money, and I decided I would start looking back into the markets and seeing if there was a better way. And so what I did was I set up an account with Questrade, and I found myself a trading mentor. And the first kind of trading I started doing was short float trading. So I took this course on how to basically, wake up in the morning, look at a scanner, find gappers, be it gapping up or gapping down, and basically try and trade these short floats. And I learned a lot. I learned about bull flags and pennants and technical analysis and whatnot. But I found that trading the short flows was a bit of a hit and a miss. And what I basically summarized from it was that there wasn't a lot of data. So a lot of these stocks would be basically flat for a long time, would be spiking up for a day or two, and then it would often come down. And yes, if you were good and timely, you could catch those rips to the upside or downside. But again, limited success. And again, I was trading a smaller account, but I learned a lot. So I was happy with that kind of the start. But things started turning around for me when I started looking into options. So another reason I got into active trading was that I was aware that my interest in active trading was coinciding with the end of a 10-year bull run. So we've had quite the run, and I was really concerned that if I only knew how to make money in an up market, then at the end of a potential end of a 10-year bull run, would find me in a position where maybe the markets would go sideways for a few years, maybe they would come down. So I really wanted to learn how I could make money in a down market, in a sideways market, in addition to a rising market. I'd heard some pretty frightening stories about people shorting stocks and losing a ton of money, because if you just short a stock and you don't know what you're doing, you can have unlimited losses. And I had some close friends who lost significant sums of money trying to short stocks based upon feelings about a company that just didn't materialize. There's a great quote that says, what is it? The market can remain irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So that was definitely an example of that. What's up, traders? It's Julian from Trader Medic. And I just want to remind you about our Discord channel. We are basically collecting a group of people together to trade together. And we're also going to be providing tons of educational material inside that channel. And eventually, we're also going to be doing live trading. So this is a great opportunity. For a limited time, we're offering free access to our new Discord channel. We're building a trading pod of like-minded individuals that want to learn our strategy and trade alongside us. So please visit tradermedic.com and click on the link to join our free Discord channel. Thanks for listening. So anyway, I started looking into options and I learned that you could basically bet on a stock coming down in price by buying a put option. And of course, you could buy a call option if you were to bet on a stock going up. Yes, there are also more complex option plays that you can make money when a stock goes sideways. But really what I started focusing on was how can I use a small account and purchase call and put options in order to play directional moves on a particular stock. And I learned about the importance of liquidity and making sure that you're trading options with a lot of liquidity, aka there's a lot of people buying and selling, so it's easy to get in and out of positions. So I basically did a deep dive on that, ton of research, ton of practice, and that's basically where I am today. So I'm gonna explain my strategy and my morning process and my whole daily process as well. But just from a high level for this video, I'll just explain kind of what I do. And then in future videos, I'm going to go into a lot of detail. So basically what I do now is, I wake up, I do market prep, and I find NASDAQ primarily, sometimes NYSE, large cap stocks that are basically moving for a reason, have a catalyst. And I look at their options and I basically make a plan before market open based on support and resistance levels. And I basically have my biases on market direction from a macro level, and also on the stock itself, depending if it's a positive or negative catalyst. And I basically play those stocks. So short-term scalping of options on large caps, primarily again NASDAQ. And since I've moved to this approach, I've seen really great success. I think on average, 70% of winning trades, 30% losses. So, you only need to win a certain number of trades when you have a high R multiple. And some of these plays I'm making are like 30, 70, 100% gains. So as long as you have really tight risk management, there's a great opportunity. So I'm going to go into these videos a little bit later, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a background about who I am and a little bit of a background on how I got to the point where I'm an option scalper that trades the market open. So another thing is I'm a part-time trader. So I still have my 3 companies that I manage during the day. And so I really just trade the first hour or 2 every morning. And yeah, it's a learning process for me. There's always something new to learn, but I'm definitely interested in scalping options, and that is what my course is going to be about. So thanks for listening, and I hope you check out the next few videos. Talk to you soon.